All right, let's go part 2. So, I rushed through this thinking I had enough time to get through this PowerPoint. I didn't, so let's just slow this down. As we age, I mentioned how we remember stuff from our teen and 20 years way better than other years of our lives, and then the difference between recognition and recall. So I should have just reviewed that with you. Recognition would be like a multiple choice test, right? So seeing an answer or seeing something that can trigger a memory and then you remember it. That seems pretty stable over the course of our lifetime. Recall seems to go downhill, meaning that we just struggle with it more. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that we aren't as quick or maybe as good with, just pulling things out of our brain. So this is like fill in the blank with no word bank, or like our FRQs. Those are all examples of recall, and we struggle with those as we get older. A lot of things happen to our brain too, which our book doesn't talk about, but like gray matter gets less dense, like the hippocampus shrinks. So we do see a lot of other physical changes of the brain as we age too, which alters our ability to be as cognitively strong as we once were. So when we look at this horrible title, do old people get stupid? Do old people's cognitive abilities diminish? Would be a nicer way of saying it. A cross-sectional study shows decline. So if you remember what a cross-sectional versus longitudinal study is, cross-sectional compares all these different people. Like maybe I take a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old, and an 80-year-old, and then I study them all at once and compare them directly. The problem with that is maybe that 40-year-old and that 70-year-old, maybe they're like vastly different people with different experiences, and it's comparing an apple to an orange. Yeah, I guess they're humans and they're the same, but there's still differences and nuances that make us unique individuals. When we look at a longitudinal study, which is where we follow a person throughout like a longer time, so maybe we did get this crazy, incredible study where we followed somebody for like 5 decades of their life. That shows to be more consistent. So the longitudinal would probably be better, but then again, it depends how many people did we do it on. Was the study quality or not? So we don't know. It would seem to be that people with stronger IQs, the research would say, or stronger mental abilities, cognitive abilities, that just kind of sticks around. They still are more cognitively sound and cognitively able as they age compared to people who maybe struggled before too, or people always want to know how can we improve our cognitive abilities and how can we make them stick around so we're not elderly people that are struggling. But we also know there's different types of intelligences. There's crystallized versus fluid. Crystallized is our accumulated knowledge and verbal skills. So this is all like the stuff the facts, the information, things like that. While fluid intelligence is more like critical thinking, abstract thought, problem solving, all of that stuff. And what we find is crystallized intelligence tends to like keep increasing with age because we're exposed to new information. And fluid intelligence decrease, or like sometimes they just say like it levels off, like instead of an increase like crystallized intelligence that just becomes like a less steep incline, fluid seems to like go up and then it like almost plateaus or doesn't keep increasing at the same rate as crystallized. Some research has even suggested that fluid intelligence dips as we get older, so our ability to critical think, abstract reasoning, it seems we get worse at it as we get past a certain age. And then we have Elisabeth KublerRoss's stages of grief, which you should have gone over in CNA anyway, so I don't spend any time talking about this. But we have death, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, because this goes for somebody who is dying, or somebody who is sick, or somebody who has lost somebody, or has somebody that's, terminally ill. Either the person suffering from it or the person that knows somebody suffering can go through these stages. So all right, so this is it for adolescence and adulthood. Make sure you read about it. This is stuff where I get kind of thin on talking about it, but it doesn't mean it won't be on the test. It's just kind of your responsibility to know the stuff. And then when we talk in class tomorrow, we're going to talk about like gender development and sexual orientation and stuff. Since I know it can be kind of a sensitive topic, so I always like it being something that we can kind of discuss together and work our way through it. So. And then after gender and sexuality, that'll be pretty much it for content of this unit. You'll have a vocab quiz Wednesday. You have your test on Thursday. And then your scrapbooks due at the end of the week. So let me know if you have questions with any of that stuff as we go along. And I will see you for our Zoom meeting this week. So thank you very much, everyone.